Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I wanted to show you what I'm doing with Hawaiian print fabrics. I've started cutting out the pieces and sewing the blocks together, and today I've been playing with the layout. I still have several more blocks to make, but I did complete 9 blocks this weekend, and I wanted to show you what I'm doing with those so far. Now this is the layout that I've chosen. Now you can flip these blocks around all different directions and make different layouts and have fun playing with that. This is the layout that I chose, and I wanted to give you a little more detail on the pieces in each block. Now here is one block here. It's an 18.5 inch unfinished block, and this big piece, which you use your big print in, is 12.5 inches square. This is an accent fabric. This will be 6.5 inches. Now these pieces here are cut from 2 rectangular pieces that are 7 by 13 inches, and then you measure in from opposite corners. You're going to stack them right sides up, not together, right sides up, and then you measure in 2.5 inches on that side, 2.5 on this side, and then you cut there. And then you mix your pieces up so that you have one light and one dark, and then you sew them together, and then you get a unit like this. So you can see with this piece would fit here, or you could turn it and it'll fit there. So all your pieces will look the same, and you just where you turn them is where you put them in your block. Now, when I sewed this together, I sewed the big block to this piece, and then this one to the accent, and then I sewed the 2 sections together. So that completed the block. So you can see there's very few seams. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here is 5. So it doesn't take much to get it together. It goes pretty fast. And you can put borders on it, you can leave the borders off, and as I said before, you can flip these around and you can do all different kinds of layouts. You can do a stair step. You can this is the pinwheel layout. These green fabrics come together and they form a pinwheel, and I will zoom out so that you can see the difference in that, or you can see the pinwheel in the pattern. But this is what I'm doing so far, and it'll take me a little bit to get it together, but it went pretty well. The hardest part was choosing what fabrics to use, and I didn't have enough of the light fabric at home, so I had to go out and go shopping and buy some more fabric. So this will take you about 2 yards of 2 different fabrics. If you're going to make it, I'm going to make 30 blocks. I'm going to make it 5 by 6. So you need 2 yards each of your 2 prints. If you're going to use 2 prints, if you're going to use 1, then you'll need 4 yards. You'll need 3/4 of a yard of your accent fabric, and then you'll need 2 yards each of your light and your dark. So and I think I have just a little bit left over of each, not much, but 2 yards of each will get you what you need for this top. So then you have to consider your borders and then how much yardage you're going to need for those. And I use a quilting calculator app by Robert Kaufman on my phone, and that helps me figure out how much yardage I need for everything. So this is where we're at so far, and I will show you what it looks like when I get done. Here I've zoomed out so that you can see the design of this layout a little bit better. You can probably see those pinwheels that are formed by the green fabrics, and you can see how the different blocks are laid out, and I'm liking this design. I think it's going to work out well. It's just going to be a matter of getting all the blocks made and then put together, and then adding the borders. So I think this is going to make a nice quilt top. and it'll be a good remembrance of my trip to Hawaii. I thought I'd go ahead and show you how I'm putting this block together. Now I have all of my rectangular units sewn together, and they're all pressed and they're ready to go. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the block so that I don't get myself too confused with how it goes together. And so I'm going to have my 12.5-inch square, and my 6.5 is going down there, and then we'll have the white pieces like that. So now I'm going to put my rectangular piece to the square, and I'm going to put those right sides together, and I want this piece is going to have about 1/2 inch extra width or length, so I want that to come off the top of the block. So I'm going to align these two edges here with where you have the narrow white section. That's going to line up with the bottom of this block, and then we'll have the extra with the larger section of the white coming off here. So I hope that makes sense, and we'll just go ahead and stitch that with a 1/4 inch seam. Now if you were piecing this block and your big block was light, you would probably want your dark fabric up against it, so you would just turn this. Okay, so this is my top row, and you can see when I close this seam that we have about 1/2 inch extra fabric up here, and that's the way the pattern was designed. So that can throw you off, but that's the way it's supposed to be. And then this side, I have all of these edges lined up where the narrow part of the white is in line with the block. So it should look like that with the extra fabric down at the bottom. So, and next we're going to do the 6.5 inch square with another one of these, and we're going to line this up with the wide end of the white. There aren't many seams in this pattern, but it can be easy to get things turned around, so I think it's best for me anyway to lay the block out so that I don't get the pieces turned around. Now you can chain piece all of this together too once you figure out how all your pieces are going to go together. Okay, so this is what I have, and now I'm going to put, let me adjust my camera here. Okay, what I have here now, I'm going to press this towards my big block. I'm going to press this towards the accent piece. That way we can nest these two seams together. So our extra fabric on our rectangular blocks is going to be on the outside. It's not going to be on the inside. We want this seam here to be even all the way across, so we don't have to guess at where our seam allowance is. So I'm going to go ahead and press these, and then I will sew these two sections together. Okay, so here I have the pieces all pressed, and I'm going to go ahead and sew, and I will be placing a pin right here just to help keep that seam from shifting while I'm sewing. Okay, I have all of my fuchsia colored blocks done, and here they are. I think they're looking pretty good. And next I'm going to be working on the yellow blocks. So this is going together really fast. This is a Debbie Bowles pattern, and I'll put a link down in the description below where you can find the pattern. A couple of tips is just keep double checking when you're making these rectangular pieces. Just make sure you have your fabrics right sides up. Just stack them right sides up before you cut them. And then when you are sewing them to your block, for contrast, what you'll want to do, if your block, your big block is dark, you want to put the light color next to it. If it's a light color block, then you want to put the dark next to it, and that'll give you some good contrast. And then when you are sewing these rectangular pieces to form your block, remember that this will turn out to be 1/2 inch longer than your piece that you're sewing it to, which would be your big block piece. So you want that section, the longer section, to go to the outside so that you can trim it easily. If you have the extra coming in here, you're going to have to trim it before you sew this piece on. And you can do that, but for me it was easier just to let the extra come off the outside edges, and then I could trim the whole block. I can square up the whole block at once. So those are just a couple of tips. And then play around with the layout once you get all your blocks done, because with this being an asymmetrical block, there are multiple different ways that you can lay this out and get completely different looks. So play with it and find something that you like. I'm doing the pinwheel layout, but you can also lay this out so that all the blocks are facing the same direction, and it gives you the look of a sampler quilt with sashing between your blocks. And then you can turn these another way so that they kind of stair step. So there's other ways that you can do that. So there's just multiple ways that you can lay this block out. This is a really good pattern for non-directional fabrics, and if you want to do it with directional fabrics, you can do that too. You just have to take into consideration your layout when you put this together. So figure out your layout as you're putting your blocks together, and make sure that they're all facing the direction you want them to. And this is really good for fussy cutting. I didn't have enough fabric to really fussy cut a lot on this, and if you do fussy cut, you're going to need extra yardage, and I really can't tell you how much extra you would need, because it would depend on the print and how many blocks you want to make, just what size you're making these blocks, because you can adjust the size of these. They don't have to be this big, they could be smaller. You can make this, instead of a 12.5 inch block, you can make it an 8.5, a 10.5, a 6.5, but you're going to have to adjust everything according to that. So it's a really versatile block, and check out Debbie Bowles' website. Follow that link in the description below. She has other big block patterns that are really interesting, and there is another one that I think I want to try in the future, and I'm just really pleased with this. This is a different type of pattern for me. I usually stick with more traditional patterns, or I do art quilts. This is not something that I'm really this isn't something that I've really done anything like this. Not even a lot of. I just have never done anything like this, and I really like it. So I hope you give it a try, and let me know how it goes for you. So I'm going to continue working on this top. I'm going to get the yellow blocks done, and then I'm going to sew the top together, and I think I'm going to put at least one border on it. I may put more. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'll show you that top when I get it done, and I'm already thinking about quilting designs for it, and I will show you those when I'm ready for that part of it. So I hope you like this little peek into how I'm putting this top together and what I'm doing with these Hawaiian fabrics. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my newest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.